Welcome back to your daily basketball recap. My name is Levi Jacob, and today is Friday. We're just going to go over very quickly a couple of news items over the past few days. And there's a couple interesting ones in here. So, the offseason, the end of the offseason is coming. NBA news is picking up a little bit. So I want to run through a few quick things here just to recap. To start off, early this morning, for me at least, there was the article about the supposed request that the Jazz have for the Lakers signing, or rather trading for Austin Reeves, or rather trading for Walker Kessler. It's very interesting. It's definitely a Danny Ainge style deal. In exchange for Walker Kessler, who personally I actually do believe, I think the report was that the Jazz also have him kind of in this camp, but I really do believe it. I think he has a Rudy Gobert style potential. I think he's a very, very good defensive player, especially in his first year in the league. It was like shocking how adept he was at defense. And he's a bit slower, but so is Rudy Gobert. The advanced stats are not obviously the same, so a lot of NBA critics would not necessarily believe the same thing. But I'm a big Walker Kessler believer. Last season, he sat out a bunch of games in a row, or every other game he would sit out, something like that, just because they were trying to tank more. So I do think that it would benefit him to be on a team that's actually trying to play him in order to win. But that being said, they want, reportedly, the Jazz do, Danny Ainge, Austin Reeves and 2 or more first-round picks from the Lakers for the price of Walker Kessler. To me, that's nuts. That's nuts. He didn't sign Walker Kessler, or the Jazz did not offer an extension to Walker Kessler, which is what brought about kind of the news. I think that they are, kind of sitting on it, waiting for him to be traded. If he plays for them this season and does not receive an extension by them, he will be able to be a restricted free agent next summer, which we've seen how the restricted free agency has gone so far. And as far as Lakers, I think that they would want something more immediate, which is part of the reason why they tried to trade for Mark Williams last season and instead ended up rescinding it. But to be honest with you, Austin Reeves and 2 first-round picks is a lot. That's like a lot of resources for Walker Kessler, who again I believe in, but it's too much. Like Austin Reeves by himself, of course, Utah wants the White Knight, but yeah, if I was the Lakers, definitely not biting on this. I understand that he might give strong suits that the Lakers already have, but it's not worth that. If they wanted, maybe instead of Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, I still don't think that I would do it, because two unprotected first round picks cancel out this part for the podcast. 2 unprotected first round picks and Austin Reeves, that's way too high. Okay, moving on. The Warriors are currently holding a mini camp before training camp, or at least they were, with Jimmy Butler. Apparently Jonathan Kuminga is not at the mini camp as of right now. It doesn't surprise me in the least. I don't think it surprises anybody. But apparently it has kickstarted, supposedly, according to reports, kickstarted them, or facilitated them talking to the Kings now in order to potentially, try again to find some situation in which they can move Jonathan Kuminga on an acceptable return. Next piece of news. Killian Hayes is signing with the Cavs. Just interesting. I feel like we've seen a couple of these young guys, because he's pretty young, and so is Dennis Smith Jr. He's younger than Dennis Smith Jr. Trying to get back in the NBA. I hope this is a situation that works out for him. It's not a big piece of news, but it's some kind of news. Hopefully, this is a situation. There's not as much pressure on him to be able to perform here. So hopefully, who knows? Well, Jason Tatum recently did an interview with NBC News, and he apparently revealed that post-injury, he genuinely thought about retirement, because that's how debilitating his leg injury was and how scary it was for him that all of a sudden his whole professional career that he's built up to this point that he's loved so much was in entire jeopardy like that. It's very, very, very scary experience, and I'm I totally understand it. Remember Jeremy Lin? If you remember, there's like a very famous clip of Jeremy Lin being terrified after I think he also tore his ACL or something like that. Saying, like when he fell, he said like, "I'm done." Like you saw him mouth the words like, "I'm done," and like you get it. It must be terrifying. The next piece of news, according to Dallas Hoops Journal, Kyrie Irving is reportedly ahead of schedule for his recovery from his ACL, and there's been some videos of him practicing shooting, things like that. So, worth keeping an eye on for the sake of this season and the Dallas Mavericks' potential future and options to bring a title home this season. That'd be pretty nuts. Next piece of news. 76ers made their first formal contract offer to Quentin Grimes on September 24th. So that's 2 days ago, according to Shams. And they're far apart on the contract. I've seen varying reports saying that he wants more of a lump sum on the first year at the very least. Maybe he only wants a 1-year contract with that lump sum. Whereas there's also some reports that say that he wants closer to $20 million per year. I think this is just a little bit of muddled reporting as far as that, because all those things, technically speaking, make sense together. But as far as the length of the contract that he wants, that part wasn't so clear. Next, NBA on Prime tweeted that they're going to be having Kyle Lowry as an announcer. He now marks, I think there's less than 10 in history of people to be part of a analyst group who are currently playing in the NBA. One that comes to mind, obviously, is Draymond Green with his deal with Turner at the time. So, interesting. That was out of the 76ers camp, obviously, because he's still there. This one is a disappointing piece of news, but it is a big piece of news. The 76ers, after going through the whole press conference, obviously Joel Embiid looks great, looks in shape. Everyone's ready to go. I actually sneaky think, and this is going to be in the next few videos that we do, I have a couple of observations and predictions as far as the awards to be given out at the end of this year. But I really do believe, honestly, that Tyrese Maxey is going to have a very big year because of all the different pieces that are back that allow him to play the way that he likes to play. But Jared McCain suffered a UCL tear in his right thumb yesterday. And that was after, things were kind of looking up for the Sixers. It's so disappointing, especially for him who had a successful rookie campaign after everybody went out with injury. And then he also, had obviously the injury to his legs last year. So we were looking forward to, being able to see him on the court. There's no timetable for his return as of right now. Hopefully it'll be this season. The 76ers also released their alternate jerseys this year. They're designed for their alternate jerseys, which is awesome. It's going back to like the Allen Iverson style Sixers jerseys in the early 2000s. I love it. The black looks great. So hopefully this will just be a snag in the 76ers season and the good press can keep up. But it's like, as far as even Joel Embiid works, like no matter what, any news like this is always going to be bad news coming out of this camp. The Charlotte Hornets are waiving Nick Smith Jr. This was reported earlier today. It's not such big news, aside from the fact that I'm buying Nick Smith Jr. stock. I think he's going to be great in the NBA. I really believe in him. I think he can, I think he can have a 6-man of the year trajectory potential. If you remember that Jordan Clarkson also had kind of difficulties in the beginning of his career, and then he kind of figured out how to score a little bit better, and teams figured out a better use for him. But Nick Smith Jr. obviously was great in college, and hasn't really found his niche with the Hornets. He shot 37% from 3 over the course of his NBA career, but he's been out a lot due to injury. And I think that there's going to be another team that picks him up that is able to find a good place for him. So I'm excited for him. And I just don't understand, as far as the Charlotte Hornets, I feel like they could have gotten something back for him. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's very, very interesting. Some interesting situations going on today. That being said, Zion looks great. Some of the NBA teams had their press days already. Zion looks great. I'm not going to go into exactly what he said. I kind of wait to see more of the proof being in the pudding. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with the Pelicans. There's another report that LeBron wanted a contract extension. The Lakers refused, and that's part of the reason why he opted into this contract extension. Into this player option for this year. That being said, it's not so surprising, right? The Lakers were kind of candid about the fact that they're kind of trying to operate on this timeline. They extended JJ, extended Luka, didn't extend LeBron. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I think that they're trying to see how much he has left in the tank, obviously, and they don't want to invest too much money in somebody who's going to be taking up a large part of their salary cap when they want to try to build a team around Luka without giving up too much. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, especially for 2027. Next note. Shams reported that Precious Achiuwa has signed a 1-year deal to return to the team that drafted him in the Miami Heat. Interesting. He played well for the Knicks last year. He's a good energy guy. He's, on the shorter side, but I think that he's going to add some energy to that Heat team that they need. And the last piece of news that was reported about 2 days ago is something that's a little bit of a dagger for any NBA fan who's looking forward to a very competitive, parity power equalizer season in the NBA, because there's a lot of really good teams in the NBA. And we were excited for it, looking forward to this season, but Fred VanVleet tore his ACL before he even got a chance to play on the court with Kevin Durant this season. I'm gonna break this down this way. The loser from the situation is obviously the Houston Rockets as a whole. Kevin Durant, wanting to come to a team that's full strength, really give the best opportunity to win a championship. I do think that they would be able to contend with OKC and Denver, who I would have at the top of the West. But this, despite anything else you want to say, is a difficult pill to swallow on the Rockets. And obviously, Fred VanVleet is beloved by Ime Udoka and the rest of his teammates. He plays good defense. He's not necessarily the most facilitating point guard, but he helps with that, and he helps be an outside threat, as well as he's just a great on-ball menace. He has that what's the badge called in 2K? He's like an interceptor. He's like a big interceptor guy. He gets a lot of steals. I like Fred VanVleet despite Max not liking Fred VanVleet so much. But he didn't even get the chance. That's the losers on from what I understand. The winner, there's one winner in this situation. There's a couple winners in this situation. The winners are the other two teams, like I mentioned before, in the Western Conference, and whoever's going to come out of the East, to not have to have their point guard guarded by Fred VanVleet. Probably now Amen Thompson is going to be the primary defender on guards, but they like to be able to have him roam. So we'll see. We'll see ultimately. The ultimate winner, though, in this situation is Reed Sheppard. I think that Reed Sheppard has not been able to show his potential in the NBA because of the depth chart, because of who Ime Udoka plays, because of all these different things. He's going to really have to step up now and be able to show off how much of a valued number 3 pick, I believe he was, and he is, and how much he can replicate what he was able to do in college successfully. He honestly, as far as his potential goes, and having already a year in the NBA and having, just more experience, kind of, he didn't get to play so much last year. He might be actually a really good fit for this role, and the Rockets might have unlocked something that they didn't even know that they had in Reed Sheppard's potential. So it's going to be really interesting. Honestly, that's my take. I think that it might be a blessing in disguise. Obviously not. Don't get me wrong, not a blessing in the full sense, because you never want to see a guy get injured. And not that Reed Sheppard will be better than Fred VanVleet, but I'm just saying, for the sake of this team, maybe even for their spacing, because they have so few people who are able to contribute in other ways, and then also effectively and reliably shoot the basketball. So it might just create better spacing for Kevin Durant and Amen Thompson and everything like that, as well as being able to switch between players and space the floor. That being said, moving forward, actually, hopefully soon we're going to go over ESPN's top 100 list that they just put out, as well as Bleacher Report put out one word describing every NBA team's offseason. So that's going to be fun to go through. And that should be out next week. So keep an eye out for that. And all the other, there's going to be some big stories for the next couple of days. And so we're looking forward. That being said, this was your daily basketball recap. I want to thank you all for listening and watching. For Shlomo, who's going to be back with me co-hosting very soon. For Max, who produces our show. And let me know what I missed. Let me know all your takes on everything. Please comment, subscribe, like, give us everything. We want to interact. We want to know what you're thinking. And I hope all of you have a great day.